A few years back, a company sent me a Wheelbase that I said it was the crappiest wheel ever. A year later, the same company sent me another wheel for review, and I said, you shouldn't buy it. And now, they have done it again. PXN sent the VD6 for review, and as always, in any other review, I'm going to say what I think without any interference. Isn't this a great deal? First of all, you gotta say, PXN has a lot of nuts. And also kudos to you, all the members and subscribers of the channel. Without you, it wouldn't be possible to do all of these reviews. If you enjoy or found this review useful, don't forget to press like and subscribe, and why not become a member? Thank you so much. PXN is mostly known to do really strange pieces of equipment in sim racing. The V9 and V10 are truly horrible pieces of equipment, but since around 2023, they have tried to refresh their image and their lineup. The VD line is exactly that. They want to bring more actual value into their products, and they have done it from the ground up. There's 3 wheelbases in the VD line, the VD4, VD6, and VD10. And PXN sent the VD6, which for me, I think it's the best one for review because it's going to capture probably a very much larger number of people. So this, I think it will be more useful for you, but still, it can still be you get the right idea for the VD10 and the VD4 as well. But I'm going to spoil the video here like I normally do with PXN. The PXN VD6, it's actually pretty good. And in reality, in some places, it's incredibly impressive for the price and not only. First of all, even though this video is mostly about the bundle, PXN sent every piece of equipment in separate boxes as you would buy pieces of boxes separately. But anyways, I will center most of my effort into the wheelbase, though I still talk about the other pieces as well. The price for the wheelbase is $329 or 339 euros. Or if you buy it as a bundle with the Hall effect pedals, the AS wheel, and the table clamp, it's $399 or 469 euro. It's roughly the same as the R5 bundle. Separately, the wheel and pedals are 139 euros and 119 euro respectively, so going in the bundle is actually the best way to go forward. In terms of spec, this is a constant 6 Nm torque wheelbase with a 7 Nm peak and 24-bit resolution. The motor, much like the modern motors that we see in other wheelbases, is incredibly inertia-free and you barely feel any pulls in it. Doesn't really mean much by itself, but it's going in the same way as the Simagic Evo Sport and also the Logitech RS50, so it definitely bodes well. As this came with multiple boxes and not just one like it would be normal in a bundle, your unboxing experience will likely differ from mine. The boxes are huge. All of them. Together they feel like they will come in a pallet because they were really that big. Everything is well protected with lots of foam. All the necessary accessories are inside. Let's start with the wheel. The wheel feels okay. It feels more or less well built for the price. Some rattling in the buttons, and there's also some bending in the 3 and 9 hours. It's a NRG/D spec. It's a 280mm wheel with 15 buttons, a D-pad, 2 rotaries with a click, and it comes with magnetic shivers and a clutch. The wheel's rim is full leather with red stitching. As for the wheelbase, it is really well constructed with the NRG quick release that is unlocked. So that means you can use every single wheel as long as it is NRG compatible, and you of course cover the contacts if the wheel has a contact. At the back, there's a recessed power button, a barrel power connector, USB-C and USB-A ports, all of them for PXN accessories. None of them pass through, and the e-brake port as well. But in terms of mount, this is a weird mount because I couldn't find anything that would be compatible with both the Moz R3 format, which is mostly Fanatec, and also the Fanatec mounting, because these two are a little bit too close. But for my rig, because this is really not that powerful of a wheelbase, I just needed to use the front two, and that was actually okay. This wheelbase is built also with heavy aluminum all around for heat dissipation, and that does it really well. I'm quite impressed with it. Lastly, the pedals, they come disassembled. They are easily mountable, very similar to the Fanatec SL/Moz SRP lights. In reality, these take a lot of hints from the SRP lights, including in the brake mod. They take about 10 minutes at most to build. For what they need to do, it's a decent belt set. For the brake, you also have the performance kit that will have a small damper and also a spring. You can use this on the floor because it will have rubber pads at the bottom, or you can mount them on your rig. In terms of connection, if you are using it with the VD6, it connects via the USB-C port. Otherwise, if you're using the older V10s or probably the new Ultra V10s that they have, it will use the RJ cable. Here's the thing, generally with PXN, I would touch it and I would say, well, this is already wrong when you touch it. But with the VD6, with all of the components, there's nothing wrong with it at all. Everything is well built and it's actually very well thought of. It's a huge step, like it is with the software, because the software is one of the most important bits when you are using your equipment. It's here you're going to change all of the options that you need to do for each game. And I think even here, PXN did a great job. It's an easy to understand software with a good degree of depth without being over complicated, and it's straight shooting enough. You install it, and within 3 or 5 minutes, you are ready to roll. But I must say that the firmware updates in each part does take a while, much longer than any other wheelbase or pedals or whatever that I've tried in other brands. But you can wait a bit for that. For the wheelbase, you have all the normal things. You have dampening, power, effects, and then you also have an advanced part where you have the filtering and also a little bit more tweaking. I think PXN really chose the right things for the wheelbase that you would have just for the basic stuff that normally people like to use, which is basically the dampening and friction. But if you want to be a little more adaptable to your driving, especially in some games like in Le Mans Ultimate, where you need to adapt a little more on the filtering part of it, PXN also gave that option and it works really nicely. And for the pedals, it's exactly the same thing. You have the curves, calibrations, dead zones, and all of that. And for your wheel, you can also set the clutch pedals and you can configure the buttons as well. It's a good software, I'd say, and it's a really big leap in terms of quality for PXN. On to the testing. I must admit that I didn't have, going towards this review, a particularly good expectation of the equipment, because in all of my experiences with PXN, with the V9 and V10, and even in Sim Racing Expo 2023, I believe, there was really nothing that said, well, this is worthwhile. But now, 2 years later, after testing some of their direct drives in Sim Racing Expo, and 3 or 4 years since I've reviewed the V9s and V10s, I must say that PXN completely subverted my expectations, and I got a really good experience with this kit. Going for the wheelbase, this is a fantastic wheelbase for where it's sitting. I went directly to Le Mans Ultimate, and with just a bit of tweaking, it really leaves nothing to be desired against comparable wheelbases, and that's really saying a lot. Everything is here. The motor is well calibrated to take the use of extra resolution of the 24 bits and low inertia. It is fast. It's plenty strong with the 280mm wheel they provide. Of course, some of you will likely want a bigger motor for heavier wheels. In that case, there's a VD10. The way it's able to provide changes of force, feel, details, information, it is really good. At times, it can feel just a little bit robotic, but compared to the Evo Sport with the old firmware, I haven't tried the new firmware yet, I didn't have the time. I would say I much prefer the experience on Le Mans Ultimate with the VD6 than I did with the C-Magic Sport. So that is saying a lot. What truly blew my mind is that in Assetto Corsa, it is actually really close to the Evo Sport as well, and it's one of the best feeling wheelbases for drifting in my opinion. The dampening feels natural, it's really well weighted with the sense of weight of the car, and you feel all of details. And using some of the initial G cars, it gave a really great sense of driving. For Assetto Corsa Competizione, it felt decent as well in iRacing. In these two, it felt a little more generic, but still it is a good wheelbase to drive with. And for the price and for what it is, well, I'm actually sold with it. As for the pedals, they are pretty basic, but they do everything they need to do. They're very similar to the Mazda SRP lights, including with the addition of the performance kit that comes inside. All the pedals are quite light by themselves. The brake pedal can be made a little heavier with the brake mod, but even so, in my opinion, I used it on a rig. The brake mod felt a bit too squishy for me, but it worked quite well. And in terms of accuracy, I would say this is a pretty good set, all things considered, even for the brake. These pedals can be mounted on a rig, though plenty of you will use it on the floor, and for that it is an okay set, but make sure that you do not use it with the performance kits, otherwise you're going to be thrown back because even though it's quite soft, it's still plenty strong enough for you to be thrown back. For this pedal with the performance kit, or even in general, if you can't buy a rig, I would recommend something like a wheel stand. That will help you a lot. Lastly, the wheel by itself, it's kind of expensive, but in the bundle, it actually fits quite well. The ergonomics are pretty much the same as all the other wheels of this type. You really can't do much when it's a round wheel in terms of the positioning of the rotaries, but the ergonomics work quite well, except for the rotaries, which are very low, but once again, can't really do much about it. It's just the case, you know, it's the nature of those types of wheels. The wheel actually has more than enough buttons. The clicks are okay. They're just okay. They rattle a bit. It's nothing bad, nothing exceptional. The problem is that the buttons are really a bit loose, and for example, with Le Mans Ultimate, because the curbing and the force feedback tends to be a little bit overactive, you can hear the buttons slapping around a little bit on the sides. Also, the wheel will bend a little bit if you grab it with a little bit of vigor on the 3 and 9 o'clock position. And also the stitching, the red stitching, it looks pretty good, but it can chafe your hands quite easily. By itself, that wheel, it's a piece of kit that I cannot recommend, but in a bundle, it's actually pretty good. So for conclusions, this wheelbase, in reality, all of the VD line is PXN redeeming arc of the sim racing anime. This works especially well in a bundle. The VD6 is truly a star on its own right. It's a little bit more expensive than the other wheelbases of the same power, almost 100 euros more expensive than the RS50, and I still prefer the RS50 because it has more power, but as a bundle, it is much cheaper than that. The pedals are okay. The wheel is hit or miss, but together it really is much, much more than the sum of its parts. The natural competition for this will definitely be the Fanatec Ready to Race bundle, the 5Nm, and even in the 8Nm, and of course the Mazda R5 bundle. They are roughly the same power, roughly the same price, but if you should choose this one over anything else, it really is going to depend on you. Not only if you want to, get an open system like you do in Mazda, but also with this PXN. But also it's going to depend on your area, because in some areas it might be much cheaper to buy the Fanatec or the Mazda, and in some areas it might be cheaper to buy a PXN for one reason or the other. South America and Australia or Oceania come to mind. Having said that, if you choose the PXN over any other brands, I don't think you're going to have a bad time. And that's really saying a lot for a company that just 3 years ago, it gave me the worst performance and worst feeling in their equipment in sim racing that I've ever had. But what do you think?